The boys are lonely. Let's check it out.
I regret to inform you, the men are not okay. That's right, folks, the men are not okay. The men have no friends, no girlfriend, no college education, no money, are breaking their legs and inserting metal rods into their bones to be a few inches taller, and listening to AI Batman help them overcome their pornography addictions.
You deserve real love.
Turns out the society that was built by and allegedly for men has indeed let them down. Now you might be thinking, oh look, another boo-hoo poor men video by Shoe on Head. Yes. And if you have a problem with that, tune into literally anything else.
Yeah, I think that's a fair summation, right, of kind of what's going on. There's hundreds, thousands of online communities of basically guys coming together to cope with one another. This is why father type figure, or I don't even want to say father types because it's not that. These manly type figures are rising to fame so fast. Andrew Tate, Liver King, these are just to name a few, right? These manly men that do what most people would consider to do manly man things. Because a lot of these people lack that, right? They lack a lot of the traits of what society considers to be the manly man, and they want to mirror that so badly because they think that's what's wrong with them. They think, if I only had these traits, I, would have all the things that society says that I need to have to be, a successful and, contributor to society, right? And that's really why, because you have somebody saying like, go to the gym, get jacked, have confidence. Like these are the kinds of things that they reflect on, and they're like, okay, like I do lack those, and if I do get those, then I'll be a better person. So it's basically they fill a void that a lot of people have in their life.
Else. Men are in a crisis, and it seems nobody really cares. And the people who do care just seem like the people who want to sell them shit. Not me. I'm different. So before we get into this, let's quickly get into today's
Grifters.
sponsor. Today's sponsor is Holzkern. Holzkern is a young Austrian company that designs unique crafted watches and jewelry made from all natural materials. Their high-quality timepieces come in various designs for both men and women, making them the perfect gift for any occasion. They're a great blend of function and fashion, and overall I just think they look very classy, especially the men's watch collection. I was pretty impressed with the silver casing and blue marble dial of the Naturalist watch.
Can I just tell you how funny it is that she's like, or they're trying to sell you something, but not me. Now check out this ad. I'm not saying she did that like maliciously. It's just, maybe it was a joke anyways. It's just funny.
Which made for a great gift for my boyfriend. He especially loved the casual yet stylish appearance, making it an ideal choice to wear both at work and at home.
Check out this watch.
I'm also really happy with the watch I picked out. It's made from black and white marble and features a nice black leather bracelet that just feels so comfy. They also create elegantly crafted earrings, very unique handbags, sunglasses, and necklaces, like this rose marble elevation necklace. It makes a really memorable and unique gift for a loved one. All of their products have a 24-month warranty, and ordering online is super easy with free shipping to the US and most EU countries within 2 to 5 days. So if you want to get yourself a good quality watch and support the channel, I highly recommend checking out their store and clicking the link in the description below. Use my special code SHOE15 at checkout that will give you 15% off for all products store-wide. So go to the link down below and choose your own unique piece of nature. Thank you, Holzkern, for sponsoring this video, and thank you, the viewer, as always, for not skipping the ad.
Why are men and boys struggling? And what should we do about it?
A few new studies have come out that have shown that young men are more lonely and single than ever before. But it's not just men. The women and children, too. It's predicted 45% of women will be single and childless by 2030. But according to the media, this is a good thing. The she-economy is booming, as they say. And meanwhile, men being single is treated like this.
New study explains why some single men are having a hard time finding a new partner.
Some of the music that they listen to speaks very derogatory.
Right.
Yeah, man, stop listening to that derogatory music. Then maybe you won't be single. I don't know, I think men and women being single and lonely kind of shows there might be something wrong with society. Perhaps we should address this, not just wave it off as empowerment.
I mean, yeah, that's the current theme in the media, right? Is that the females have the girl boss, girl energy, girl power attitude, which if you want to be the CEO of your company, we talked about this in Snow White, if you want to be the CEO, you know what? Go for it. All more power to you. I hope you achieve your dreams, just like anybody else. But not everybody wants that same exact thing, right? And pushing that narrative on people is just kind of toxic, honestly. People should be left to choose like exactly what they want to do. You know, take a look at the newscaster, they almost looked embarrassed. They were like, here's why guys are struggling finding, a date. And I think one of the problems is we have a vast majority of people that just don't know how to communicate anymore. They don't know how to talk to one another. Whether you're male or female, this is like a compounding problem. I mean, you're basically terminally online, you lose confidence, lose the ability to understand social norms, and then you're lonely. And the cycle keeps continuing until you're just in this pit of despair. And that's like one of the biggest problems like I can see, and it's just an exponential issue. It's going to keep getting worse as things go more and more online.
Empowering or pathetic. According to several different articles, I love how that's my source, I read about it on the internet, research shows that people from individualist countries show a greater sense of loneliness. This is linked to socioeconomic development, increased education, a shift towards white-collar jobs, and urbanization. Japan also has an issue with loneliness. In fact, they have a whole movement of people they call the hikikomori.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
I've heard of that. Those are the people that are just like afraid of talking to people. So like I said, the communication issue, there's people that lose the ability to understand those social norms.
I don't care. Basically, postmodern hermits. Mostly young men who completely withdraw from society, secluding themselves in their rooms for months and years at a time. In 2010, there was an estimated 700,000 hikikomori in Japan. And today, it's estimated to be about 1.55 million. And because of things like this, people aren't having babies, so Japan's population has been in a sharp decline since 2011. It's gotten so bad that Japan even produces videos of live-action women staring into the camera to help the hikikomori learn to cope with eye contact and reintegrate them back into society. So basically, if you want to know America's future,
I mean, how absolutely eerie is this, right? It's like a Black Mirror episode to me. Seriously, we have rehabilitation camps so people don't have PTSD or panic attacks when they see another human being. It goes against our nature in general. I mean, if you think about it, humans are a communal species, right? We are a community. That's what we are. No matter who you are or what you are communal based, right? And when you deny your nature, you turn into this dweller, right? You turn into like a creature, a subhuman type species, and it's incredibly sad to see because this is an exponential issue, right? I mean, we're going to see this more and more as time goes on. People going terminally online, getting comfortable not talking to people, getting comfortable not communicating, and then you end up in this exact same position. And we have the hikikomoris in America, for example. I don't think we're far off from that at all. I bet you we already have some people like this in America, probably a lot of people like this in America.
look no further than Japan. A lot of people, including myself, blame this partially on the rise of social media and technology. RIP to the king. Although technology makes things easier, it can also make us more atomized. Why go to the mall when I can just tap, buy a new microphone, and have it shipped to me in a day? Why hang out with friends when I can get all my social interaction I need from Twitter and streamers? Why go on dates and bother meeting women when I can just tap, Google big boob and get 2 million results? Or see my high school crush's holes on OnlyFans for only $5. Instant dopamine, instant satisfaction, and hey, who even needs a real woman when you could just have an AI girlfriend? We're f***ed. We're so f***ed.
That's another thing. AI girlfriends are unleashing new territory for people to get captured in this online net, essentially, right? You're an adult, you get to make your own decisions. these things are so convenient that people, why would they choose anything else, right? And now you're going to have an AI girlfriend with customizable big booba, and you'll be able to do whatever you want, right? What's the point of even talking to another person? That's the world we're going to.
Dating apps really are the great Satan, and I'm convinced they've completely broken men's brains. Women on dating apps are picky. Women in general are picky, and I mean, naturally we are pickier. We're the ones who carry the babies. At least for now. But on dating apps, you have to admit, it's a little insane. It's safe to say that the commodification of love and the window shopping of dating apps probably has to do a lot with the rise of lonely single men. Men are not just lonely when it comes to dating, they're lonely when it comes to friendship too. According to Vox, Americans are currently in a friendship recession, and men are being hit the hardest.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, guys are so terminally online that some of them are just talking to people in their Xbox Live party chat, right? I mean, sometimes people don't even have that. That's how incredibly sad this is, because they're afraid to, send somebody a party invite, be like, hey, what's up, man? They'd rather just say mic muted, playing, grinding by themselves in the dark. We all know this person. We've all seen these people, and they're growing with each day.
The percentage of men who reported having at least 6 close friendships fell in half since the 90s. 1 in 5 men say they have no close friendships. Looking at all these statistics, the explosion of figures like Andrew Tate is not surprising at all.
I believe being a man is a blessing because it starts so difficult. I believe that every man is born without any value at all. I think that the world's never going to think you're important unless you make yourself important.
And recently, a new study came out about how young men are moving towards the right. And every other month, we, the liberal...
And that makes sense, right? Because, like I said, these father-type manly figures that, guys can look up to, they're lacking confidence, they're shut-ins, and they see somebody that's so, basically, I don't want to say aggressive. Yeah, aggressive, right? They're aggressively confident, right? Even if it makes them look stupid, they're still confident. And it's a polarizing thing. And they want to be like that. I don't think people want to be shut-ins. I don't think people want to be afraid of people, right? But they just get that way, and they lose sight of how to properly communicate with people, because believe it or not, talking to somebody is a skill, and communicating with people is a skill, and you have to build it up by going out of your house, that's why touch grass is such a insane meme, because it's so true, right? Go touch some grass, go outside, communicate with the world, see what's out there. But then and then you get these giant people like Andrew Tate, Liver King, stuff like that, and they're just like, you need to be a man, get to the gym right now, who cares what anybody says about you, kind of stuff. It's polarizing.
Sockdem, leftist, whatever you want to call the space online, performs the same song and dance. What's wrong with men? Why is this happening? Why don't we have a leftist Andrew Tate? We need to push men to the left. Andrew Tate rarely, if ever, talks about politics. Andrew Tate talks about men, and the left only talks about men when they talk about Andrew Tate. A few months ago, during one of the monthly song and dances, some progressive...
And yeah, no, it's absolutely true. Andrew Tate says very off-color stuff a lot of times, right? I'm not denying that. He 100% does. But something that's very congruent in the way that he talks about things is that he's extremely pro-men. This is something that nobody or almost nobody does, because before it was looked at as like, a guy should stand up for himself kind of thing, but he's very pro-men in the sense that he basically tells a lot of people like this that I know what you're feeling, you feel alone, you feel like you don't matter, here's how to fix it. So they basically look at them like, hey, he understands how I feel, he validated my feelings, which is a first for a lot of men, and then provides a possible solution on how they can make themselves better, going to the gym, growing your confidence, these kinds of things, right? Which is all good advice. It's like a roundabout way of saying touch grass, essentially. And that's why he's so polarizing, because he validated their feelings. And that's the thing, society doesn't, right? They don't validate men's feelings. So when you have somebody come around and do that, society's used to telling men like, hey, hide those emotions, push them down, don't feel, don't express anything, become a stone cold person. Andrew Tate does this. People like this do this. They basically say, hey, guess what? You are alone. I get it. I understand. I'm a man too. This is how you fix it. And that is why we're where we're at today with, you know, these polarizing figures for men.
Of people I follow made the mistake of addressing men's issues, and the even bigger mistake of pointing their finger at their own spaces for not doing enough to address said men's issues.
Recently, there were some statistics by healthcare company Cigna indicating that men are the loneliest generation. And addressing it doesn't mean that you turn your back on issues pertaining to women, but it does mean that we should be focused on what it is in society that is leading to this epidemic, what the left can do to offer solutions, and how we can basically fight back against the more nefarious figures who have filled the void that, you know, men are struggling with, people like Jordan Peterson and what have you. Now, recently, Vosh, who's a popular streamer, had tweeted this thread that I think is really, really important to address. He writes, I cannot stress enough how important it is to understand that 12-year-old white boys on Twitch are not being pulled into fascism because of some Machiavellian desire to preserve and expand their privileges. It's because the right talks to them and the left doesn't.
The responses to these tweets and this content were,
God, and it's so true. I mean, if you want to get a little bit political, right? The influencers and things like that that are more pro-men are definitely on the right side. And I feel like so often in politics, there's this time where you basically operate in trends, right? There's so many different trends out there to follow and do, and this is the right way to believe. This is, you know, what to believe in. And people follow that. And right now on the left, it is not trending to be pro-men, right? And that's the problem, is like you're losing a lot of guys because your refusal to acknowledge them. And you're going to do that to any population. If you deny somebody, they're just going to go find validation from somewhere else. And that's exactly what's happening in this situation.
very normal, level-headed, and respectful. Me when I lie. LMAO, cry about it. Boo f***ing who. Oh no, poor widow men having problems. Boo f***ing who.
Because it's not the cool thing to care about guys, right?
Grow the f*** up then. Have men considered being smarter? I'm enjoying all these sad little moids and their sad little tweets about their sad, pathetic lives. Sounds like a personal problem. Is the lack of compassion for men in the room with us right now? Maybe men are just not good people then. I'm so f***ing tired of people trying to make male loneliness a huge societal problem. Yeah, no, their fifis are not my responsibility, and I shouldn't have to be punished because they can't get their shit together as human beings. Grow the f*** up. Why are we trying to win these entitled little predators?
So many people ask for sympathy for other things. Is it insane to not show compassion for something else? Well, like, I don't understand the vitriol, put towards guys in this predicament, right? I just really don't get it.
Over. The left isn't for them. That's why they go right in the first place. We're all lonely and alienated. It's young men going to the alt-right in droves. The problem isn't our men.
That's true. Everybody's lonely. That's what I talked about at the start. So many people, it's not just guys, don't know how to communicate with one another. But we also show compassion for those people too, right? Or if you're a good person, a decent person, you should show compassion towards them as well. There's no reason to be so bombastic towards people, when they are seeking somebody to care for them, right? There's no reason that, we have to basically shove them away and treat them like they're trash. It blows the problem out of proportion even more.
Messaging. It's them. It's literally not our problem. Men flock to Andrew Tate not because they're lonely, but because they're bigots. Hope this helps. Nah, it's just misogynists being louder than before and not getting laid. LOL. Cry harder, losers. 90% of all homicides recorded worldwide were committed by male perpetrators. We should just get rid of all males, to be honest. This includes trans women, as they still retain male violence. By the way, you know the Tumblr feminists who were like, all men are sexist and rapists, male tears, penises are evil, blah 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 back in the day? Well, this is them now. Should've just let me cook back then. Listen up, chuckle. I'm white, socially awkward, autistic, in my 40s, ugly, overweight, crippled, got a weird balding pattern, and have bad skin. You know what I didn't do? Choose to become a fascist, because I recognized most of the sort that look like me are the problem. I may be hideously ugly and pathetic, but at least I'm not a fascist. Thank you for your input, buddy. You're
I don't know what level of simp that is, but that's crazy. Here's the thing. That's incredibly sad, right? It's like he's been conditioned to the point to where he's completely realized his feelings don't matter, and he's accepted that, right? But your feelings do matter, right? Everybody's feelings matter. They should be validated. He's gotten to the point where he's okay being spit on by society and thinks he's the problem for that, right? That's the type of stuff we're going to start seeing more and more of, and it's just not good.
Really help in the situation. The reason young men flock to alt-right MRA movements is because the left gives brain-dead advice to young men. We need to be more compassionate to them, for our own sake. I'm sorry, but how is respect women brain-dead advice? What advice? Don't rape? Don't be a rapist is bad advice? Help, I have no friends or community, I feel suicidal. Have you considered not raping? Act like a decent fucking human being, it's not hard, is brain-dead advice? Brain-dead advice like, get consent and don't be a Nazi and women are people. What?
That's all valid criticism, but that has and very good advice. Nobody's saying that is not good advice. Don't rape is good advice. However, another good advice would be show compassion to your fellow human when they're in a time of need. Crazy thought. We do it to everything else, right?
Walking up to men struggling with loneliness and depression like,
kids, don't be racist.
And I feel like people so quickly say, oh, showing compassion means they want me to sleep with them. And there's a lot of guys that feel that way, right? Like, but these people they just want to be accepted by society, right? They just want to be accepted by someone. They don't necessarily want you to sleep with them. Like, you know, it's nothing to do with that. It's like these people are so void of human community that they've, like I said, devolved into these like creatures, and they don't know what to do. They're just latching on to anything they can to survive.
incredible. Here's my actual advice I would give to my teen boys as a leftist. 1. Always get enthusiastic consent. 2. Save the planet. 3. Don't say that. It's actually kind of racist. Like, what the f is this? How does this address men and their issues? It doesn't. Why does their advice always seem to be, become a liberal? Hey men, here's how to fix all your problems. Agree with me politically. Men flock to the MRA movement because they're the largest beneficiary.
Because deep down, that's what it is. I don't know why people always have to make it a political argument. This is a battle of like how somebody feels, not why are we talking about rape when we're talking about a guy that's suicidal because he's so lonely? You know, what are we doing here?
Of MRA shit. Imagine saying women flock to women's rights activism because they're the biggest beneficiaries of women's rights. Like, no f***ing shit. Let's be honest. Aside from procreation purposes, men have become obsolete. Most women can find other methods of achieving orgasm without a man there. And speaking as a man, most of us are horrid to be around, and I don't blame any woman for just saying, no thanks. Oh my god, dude, this is what every Just Pearly Things tweet looks like to me. Just with the genders swapped. This is pathetic. You know what fixes male loneliness? Jerking off. As a man, I'll say this. Sit down, shut up, and beat one out. You'll feel better. I promise. Yeah, guys, just beat one out. Just off. Just watch porn. Batman will be very disappointed in all of you. It's so funny how men feel entitled to a girlfriend. No, you sexist.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. A lot of these lonely people want a girlfriend or want whatever they're attracted to, right? Whether you're gay, bi, whatever, right? They want companionship, okay? But that's not what this is all about. There's a deep-seated issue that society wants to ignore, right? It's that they're lonely. That's what this is about, right? If you get through all of it, right? That they have no means and no ability to communicate with the opposite sex. Hell, they can barely communicate with their own. That's why they have no friends. That's why they have nobody that they can talk to. No best friend, no guy that tells them, hey, maybe that's a bad idea, right? You need this community to draw you in. And basically, like, Have you heard the saying, it takes a village, right, to raise a kid? It does, and it takes a village to support people, right? It takes a village to care. And our village is denying guys by the droves, basically saying you're wrong on every single thing, don't feel, shut up. And it's toxic.
Freak. When one side is like, wanting a girlfriend is sexist entitlement, and the other side is like, here's how to get a girlfriend. I don't know, bro. What happened to males just kicking the bucket? Now they just come on here and try to make their loneliness and misery into some social justice.
It's so crazy how people put such, condemning on talking about suicide and saying people should not commit suicide, and if you're depressed, call this number. But if you're a guy and lonely, literally kill yourself. That's literally what this is saying in a different way. It's crazy to me that people feel this way.
This issue. Oh, trust me, men are still kicking the bucket. And when they're not
Jesus.
giving mind-blowing advice like just to be a liberal, they're outright dismissing men's issues completely. It's not our job to educate them. Since men created the problem, they need to take steps to fix it. We have other things to care about. Men can figure out their own problems that they created. Again, it's not women's jobs to change how men are socialized. It's a man issue, and y'all need to address that amongst yourselves. Men created their own problems. Men can solve their own problems. The left is busy. Why does the well-being of other people concern me?
What is the left busy doing? Spitting on anything that they don't agree with? Isn't this the same thing they condemn the right doing? Anything I believe in, you're wrong, and vice versa. Why are we like this? Why are we in this constant battle of basically like, if you don't agree with my standards or political beliefs, nothing you say or your life matters, right? It's sad, because we should both care about each other. Like, we shouldn't want suicide in general. We shouldn't want people to feel lonely. We shouldn't want to create people that feel this way. It's just not okay.
Leftist, by the way. It's all systemic issues and societal factors and blah 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 until it's a man, and then suddenly it's pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. This problem is just a consequence of the patriarchy. Now take a wild guess about which gender created the patriarchy. Solve your own problems and leave women alone. These people rightly mock the bootstraps rhetoric until the subject is a man, and then it's bootstraps all the way down. They would never talk about any other group this way. It's wild. And it's kind of like both sides are telling men to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but one is like, I'll show you how, and the other is like, fuck off.
The boomers are bad for saying pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but I can say it because I don't like your beliefs. It's the most contradicting thing of my entire world, right? It's the most insane thing to even think about.
And when they're not telling men to straight up fuck off, they're giving the 200 IQ answer that nobody has ever heard before. Just show your emotions, bro. And I'm not dismissing this problem, okay? I've made videos talking about this. Oh, you're crying at your grandfather's funeral? Okay, faggot. And studies have shown that men are scared to be vulnerable, even around the homies. And can you blame them when the media says...
And that's so true, right? Me and my wife, we go to therapy, right? And it's a very good thing to do together, whether you have problems or not. You should just go. It's good. One of the problems I have personally is that I am not able to be vulnerable. I do bottle things up, even to my own wife sometimes, depending on what it is. And it's like, I'll just be like, oh, it's okay, whatever. Because that's the way society conditions us to feel, and it's not okay. I feel like I'm very good at communicating with people. I'm very good at talking to people, and I feel comfortable, in a social setting. But I still don't even want to be vulnerable, because I don't want to be judged for my feelings. And that's coming from somebody that's comfortable. Could you imagine somebody not comfortable in a social setting? These people, that's how we end up with these suicides and these depressed people, right? It's not because they need a girlfriend or nobody wants to, jerk them off or something. It's because they're so afraid of people and don't know how to live in a world with people. And then we spit on them for it.
Stupid like this. Fellas, is it woke to open up to your fellow men and discuss history? Men are socialized to believe strength, dominance, and stoicism are behaviors of a real man. Is it any surprise that men are lonely and have less friends nowadays? You have to be vulnerable to make friends. Don't tell me there aren't systemic problems affecting men.
Thank
Now, while
you.
a lot of this may be true, men have been socialized this way for centuries, and this is all relatively a new phenomena. Toxic masculinity has existed forever. If anything, there's less toxic masculinity nowadays. The cultural embrace of, like, gender nonconformity,
Yeah, there's
femboy...
so much. I would say there's so much less toxic masculinity that we literally have guys cussing themselves out, as you just saw. The guy said he was autistic, overweight, useless piece of trash, and I'm the problem. We literally have people condemning themselves and enjoying the fact that they shouldn't be able to feel. That is sad. That is absolutely sad.
boys, Harry Styles in a dress, Barbie movie, blah 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 blah. My point is, toxic masculinity did not just appear in the mid-2010s, but social media did, and the internet did, and the rise of dating apps did, and the housing crisis, and living in a country where the wealth inequality is worse than it was during the Gilded Age. That all happened recently. Oh my god, the privileged life these poor little boys must have, that their biggest problem is being lonely, i.e. so insufferable that nobody wants to sleep with them. So much more pressing than the poor distribution of wealth causing people to suffer food and housing insecurity. Boo-hoo, you're lonely.
That's always the thing, right? It's like they always go towards, oh, just because nobody wants to sleep with you. I don't think that people realize that guys also need companionship in the sense, whether it's girlfriend, friendship, whatever, in the sense that they need somebody to listen to them, hear their feelings, and like communicate with them on a fair level, right? It's always jumps to like a sex thing, and I don't understand why.
And have no friends and are suicidal when... Because feeling alienated under capitalism apparently isn't a thing. People are working harder and longer while wages have been stagnant. Men have been dropping out of college like flies. And what does that get you? Poor men. Which, since women are doing amazing in college now, and many are now out-earning men, this most of the time leads to single men, which then leads to lonely men, which leads to depressed men, which leads to the high rate. In my opinion, leftism at a policy level does a great job addressing the shitty material conditions that in part lead to the problems that men are facing, but then absolutely drops the ball when it comes to everything and anything related to men's cultural issues. Many such cases. And why would a struggling man even want to move left when the left appears actively hostile to them?
The question of whether or not the hashtag online left does enough to appeal to hashtag men has become the question du jour. And like, men have most of the money, authority, and do most of the murdering and assaulting.
The average young man in America isn't Jeff Bezos. Also, why did this motherfucker just FBI crime statistics at me? Men do the most murder. Okay?
They like having all of the stuff they don't deserve. They like that. They want it to stay that way because it suits them. Because of the stuff, telling people they're special, and just...
This is like basically saying like because of the 1%, you know, the world is ending, right? And it's a much larger issue than that, right? This is a very small population of guys that actually, you know, control the wealth, actually control, you know, the amount of things, businesses. There's a small population of guys that actually do murders. Yes, I guess the statistic that it's mostly men, you know, murder people is probably true, but this is still a smaller sum of the actual whole. There are billions of men on the world that don't murder, are not rich, are lonely, depressed, have issues that aren't validated, and all of that's disregarded for the crimes of the few. You know, it's absolutely insane.
Deserve all the nice shit that they have. That's going to be an easier sell 10 times out of 10 than like saying, hey, maybe you should have less stuff and other people should have more.
Leftism is when you don't have a lot of stuff. We're gonna take your stuff. You sound like a 65-year-old Fox News boomer's idea of what the left is. Are you a CIA agent? The right is saying to men, you will own a house. You will have beautiful children with your loving wife. You will have privacy. You will have free speech. You will own things, and you will be happy. And the left is like...
They like having all of the stuff they don't deserve.
But don't get me wrong, Republicans will not do shit. The Republican Party will not do shit. The establishment in general will not do shit to help any of this. But the right is, at least rhetorically, offering men something other...
No, if you think about it, it's really ingenious from the right? You can pull such a vast audience by doing something so simple as validating somebody's feelings and telling them that they're right. And that's, you know, a political issue on its own, but this is a greater societal problem that we need to face. Like, we need to group effort this, right? We need to approach this in the sense that here's a sum of people, they have a problem, and we should show them compassion. We don't need to make it about sex. We don't need to make it about money or crime or whatever the case is. We just need to address these depressed people as a whole, just like we would any other type of demographic, right? It's just super sad.
Than nothing or the eternal HR department. Every time this Discord comes up, there's people like, we need a leftist Andrew Tate. We need masculine role models on the left. But the fact is, it's hard for progressives to organically appeal to men, because a large part of progressivism is oppressive hierarchies, and men are oppressors. Making progressivism look appealing to young men is an uphill battle from the start. And although it's funny to laugh at insane people on Twitter, as always, there have been a lot of left-wing content creators talking about men's issues. If you would have told me this would be a thing 9 years ago, I would not believe you, because anyone talking about men's issues back in the day was called an MRA or a pick-me. But lately I have seen a lot of good pro-men lefty content, and I'll put some links to some below. I don't agree with all the points they say, but I recommend watching. It's much better than...
They like having all of the stuff they don't deserve.
But the issue is a lot of this left...
Yeah, it's like, what are you supposed to do, right? Like, I think any therapist, right, would agree that denying your self-worth and denying the value you hold as a person is like one of the most toxic ways you can end up in a suicidal state, right? Saying you're worthless, saying you're trash, like the guy that said he was autistic, you know, overweight, and he was the problem. These things dwell in you, you know, whether you've accepted the fact or are trying to accept the fact that you think you're the problem, these dwell on you and weigh on you, and eventually you get to a depressive state anyways, whether it's being lonely and feeling like you should have self-worth or not, you know. You just, it's not good to deny people feeling these things, because if they don't, they're going to start killing themselves even more, and it's sad.
Lefty pro-men content, it's always framed around, how do we get them? As if men are just pawns and tools for your personal politics. How do we make the left more appealing to men? How do we stop lonely men from moving to Andrew Tate? Instead of just, how do we help men? And I think that's a really big issue. Both sides seem to treat men as...
And that's a good point. Like I said, it shouldn't be a political issue. This should not be a political thing. We should just be asking, how do we handle and help the mental health of an entire population? You know, how do we improve this? You know, it's instead of using the selfish route of how do I use these people as a justifiable ends to my means. It's just what we need to do to fix the issue.
Political fodder. Disposable soldiers in the culture war and real war. Anyway, misandry is real. Oh good, finally! And while it doesn't systemically affect cis men, it most certainly affects trans men. Oh. Y'all talking about misandry doesn't harm men, and trans men are right there reading this shit, by the way. I see, now we only care about misandry because it affects trans men. Everyone stop! It's affecting a group I care about now. I love how the rhetoric just like evolved overnight from male tears to cis male tears. And I just have to ask, why aren't you including trans men in your misandry,
Nobody told me how lonely being a man is. We knew what depth felt like before we transitioned. We knew what it felt like to like have people want to hug us and to have people want to talk to us and to have a community. And then you transition and you're just a guy walking down the street that people cross the street so that they're not near you. And friendships are so much harder to build. What's hard is none of this invalidates how real and raw women and people who are in marginalized groups feel about cis white men. All of that's valid. But I also now understand why the suicide rate is so much higher in men.
Welcome to being a man. Here's your complimentary isolation and yellow.
I mean, there you go, right? So he's a trans male, right? And he's experiencing it, right? The issue that a guy faces, you're basically shunned by society and looked at as a danger or a threat. Like I said, but that is a smaller piece of the pie than the actual whole. And all those issues, rape, consent, all these crazy things, like, yeah, they're true. They're real, very aggressive crimes that happen, and mostly men commit them. But if you have 1,000 people and one of them is the bad egg, do we just say screw the whole 999 people and they should all go kill themselves? No, we don't do that. You just cannot do that. You have to look at the bigger picture here, and people hone in and focus in on the exacerbated issues that actually happen. And like I said, those shouldn't happen. But we can't tell the mass of people that are going to start offing themselves that they don't matter even more, because it just blows the issue out of proportion even more.
Hello, Pello. I love how even when he's experiencing the issues of being a man, he's like, this doesn't invalidate people hating men. Come on, bro. Men struggling don't want to be lectured about the patriarchy. They don't want to be told it's all their fault. They don't want to be told they're part of the problem, because first of all, they're not. The average...
And that's the thing, right? We can't charge a population with the crimes of the few, right? If somebody commits a rape, then convict that person, damn that person, send that person to jail. Don't get mad at the other billions of people that haven't done that. If a woman, for example, murders somebody, do we convict the rest of the women in the world for, being possible murderers? No, it doesn't work that way. You can't live in a society where you damn people for crimes they haven't even committed yet. Just because you have the potential to do something bad, everybody has potential to do something bad. It doesn't make them inherently evil human beings.
20-year-old didn't build society. They go to work, come home, off to sissy hypno fetish porn, and go to bed like everyone else. I've talked about this before, but a lot of men's value comes from the money they make, unfortunately. Men are natural providers, and if they have nobody to provide for, they get into findom or send random girls on the internet money. I'm just kidding, but the fact is, a lot of men simply feel like they don't have a purpose anymore. Whether a job or a career that's fulfilling and pays well, or a woman or family to protect and take care of and provide for, men are lacking purpose. And a man will crawl through broken glass for a purpose. But you know who does make them feel like they have a purpose? No, not him.
I say that life as a man is exceptionally difficult. I say the most beautiful and the most terrifying thing about being a man is you're born without value. Society doesn't care about you.
The absolute audacity to act shocked that Andrew Tate is scooping these guys up after a decade of lol male tears is insane. Andrew Tate isn't the solution to men's problems.
Right.
But he is talking to them. The fact is, you did not care about...
Yeah, I mean, imagine being so attention-starved, right? Anybody that shows you a drop of attention, I mean, this should be rule number one. I mean, this should be example number one for this situation. People are so attention-starved that somebody like Andrew Tate, somebody with so many off-color opinions, shows attention to a mass population and they flock to him. He's not a female. They don't want to have sex with him. Nothing like that. They just want to be validated. They want somebody to tell them, hey, like, I know you're down and out. I get it, That's what people want.
About them for years. And even now you just want to recruit them, not help them. And that's why you will fail. And hey, maybe I'll be the Andrew Tate of the left. Men, listen up. Wash your penis. So I guess I'll leave you guys with a question. Why do you think male loneliness has been increasing? What are your solutions for this problem? And are you dealing with loneliness? And I will see you guys next time with a new video. Bye!
Yeah, I mean, great video. I definitely think this is an issue that's completely exacerbated, out of control. We don't even know what we're going to be seeing in the next few years, and I really hope, that the left does get some kind of figurehead, right? I don't think this should be a political issue at all. I think this should just be dealt as any other normal mental illness or mental health help kind of thing. We should be trying to help these people and not condemning them, especially for crimes and things they haven't committed. People are lonely. This is a normal symptom to feel, and we care about it, and we should care about it. So, yeah, that's my thoughts.